Finding the right stocks to trade can feel overwhelming, especially with thousands of stocks out there. But with the right screening tools and criteria, you can quickly narrow down your options and focus on stocks with real potential. In this video, I'm going to show you how to screen for growth stocks using the same principles and tools that successful traders rely on. We'll be using a tool called DeepVue to screen for stocks. But the same fundamentals apply to most stock screening platforms. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for when building your watch list of high potential growth stocks. Before we dive into the tools, let's talk about what makes a good growth stock. Growth stocks are typically companies with strong earnings growth, high sales growth, and a presence in industries with lots of room for expansion. Here are the key criteria I use to filter for growth stocks. Earnings growth. Look for companies with consistent year over year earnings growth, typically 20% or higher. Sales growth. Strong revenue growth indicates demand for the company's products or services. Aim for at least 20% sales growth. Industry group. Focus on stocks in leading industries that are showing clear growth trends. Price strength. A rising price trend signals that the growth stock is being bought by institutional investors, which often leads to sustained growth. Here's the thing, growth stocks can be volatile, but they tend to outperform in bull markets like the one that we're in right now. The key is to focus on those with strong fundamentals and signs of institutional buying. There are proven frameworks like CanSlim, developed by William O'Neill, and my own twist on it, which I call Eagle. Both methods are designed to help you identify the strongest growth stocks using a set of specific criteria. We'll go deeper into these strategies later in the series, but for today, we'll focus on applying some fundamental criteria that you can use right now. If you're unfamiliar with CanSlim or Eagle, don't worry about it. I'll be covering these in more detail later on. So for now, let's focus on getting the basics of screening right. Now that we know what we're looking for in a growth stock, let's jump into DeepVue and set up our screen. Personally, I use 9 preset screens that help me filter through thousands of stocks to build what I call my universe list. This allows me to quickly zero in on stocks that meet my criteria for growth. Now that we know what we're looking for in a growth stock, let's jump into DeepVue and set up our screen. Personally, I like to use 9 preset screens. This helps me filter through thousands of stocks to build what I call a universe list. This allows me to quickly zero in on stocks that meet my criteria for growth. So let's hop in and we could build out a new screen, or that they actually have a bunch of preset screens in DeepVue, all these screener presets. I like to build my own so that way I know exactly what I'm putting in and why I'm putting it in. So uh, I'll show you how I built my first one here. I call it relative strength at highs. And so I'm just going to click edit on this and it's going to pop out the criteria that I've set. And it's all very simple to build out. So I have this first criteria here, DV12M. That stands for Deep View 12 month. And you could even come up here and just type in Deep View, and then you get the DeepVue rating over here, and there it is. And you could type in 90 down here, and then, well, what that's going to do is it's going to take a look at all the stocks that are in the DeepVue database, and it's going to say, okay, give me ones that fall into the top 90% of criteria in the DeepVue database. So we're already starting out with some very strong fundamentally based stocks. Then I have another couple of criteria on this thing. I'll just click over here, and you can see that I want stocks to be greater than $5 per share. That's my own criteria because the major institutions of the world, they have trouble buying very, very low price stocks. At $5, that's still pretty low, but you could still have some of the smaller micro cap funds that could start to build positions in these. I want the volume criteria to be at least 400,000 shares traded on average per day. I want the relative strength line to be at new highs for over a 12-month period. For that, I just check off this over here that says relative strength at new highs. Yes. And again, you could just type in these into the filter up here. So if I were to type in relative strength, and you can see all the different criteria that comes in, I wanted the relative strength to be at new highs for 12 months. And so that's why I selected that one. And then I have this criteria here, ADR percentage. That's the average daily range to be at least 3% over the last 20 days. That's a sweet spot for me where I'll be able to find stocks that are trading relatively tight and also have a chance to move higher. So I have this filter here, and it's a pretty tight filter. You can see that there's only 11 stocks total in the entire DeepVue universe that passes this screen. So that's how, especially as a part-time trader that's looking to trade growth stocks, you don't want to be filtering through tons and tons and tons of stuff. You want it to be a fairly simple but fairly targeted and narrow list, so that way you could say, okay, I want these, and I'll move them over to a universe list. And there's a bunch of other screens that I use. We won't get too deep into the weeds here. I just wanted to give you an example, and then you could go and build some of your own screens. What this is helping me do is build a universe list, a group of high potential stocks that I will monitor regularly. I'll walk you through each of the screens that I mentioned a few moments ago in more detail later on in the series. But for right now, I want you to focus on the fundamentals we're using today. Now that we've applied these filters, we've taken thousands of stocks and narrowed them down to just a handful of high potential growth stocks that meet our criteria. Once you've screened your stocks, the next step is to build and maintain your watch list. Your watch list is where you track which stocks made the cut, why they're there, and how you plan to act on them. So, some of the key steps that you'll need to do is to record the criteria that each stock met, the earnings and the sales, price strength, etc. You're going to track the important levels for those stocks. So, where you're going to enter, where you're going to exit, support and resistance, if you're familiar with those things. If not, don't worry, we'll make more videos about those. You'll set alerts. You could set alerts in DeepVue. You could set alerts using TradingView or some other platform. There's plenty of places where you could set alerts. The main idea is that you want to use these lists to notify you of the important levels. And so that way you're trading part time. You don't have time to be staring at the screens all day long. You get an alert to your phone or it pops up on your screen. If you're busy doing something else, you could see it and you could go and take action right away. So to wrap things up, by using a screener like DeepVue, you can quickly narrow your focus to the best growth stocks in the market. The key is to filter for strong fundamentals and strong price action, so that way you're not wasting time on a bunch of stocks that are likely going nowhere. So go ahead, set up your own stock screen using some of the criteria that we discussed today. Take some time to explore the stocks that come up and start building your watch lists. In the next video, we'll dive into filtering for specific chart setups to refine your trading opportunities even further. I hope you found this video helpful. This is just the first video in my series on trading growth stocks part-time. More videos are on the way where we'll dive deeper into filtering for setups, managing your trades, and a lot more. So make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Also, feel free to like this video and drop a comment below if you have any questions. I'd love to hear from you. For more tips and updates, follow me on X, Instagram, and StockTwits at Michael G. Lamott, or visit my website, marawealth.com.